Your mediocre competitors are beating you. And we already know that it's not because they're better at what they do, you're probably the better one. You provide a better service. It's mainly because they're just more known. They have a system and they've built trust within the online market. And within the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why being good enough at what you do isn't enough to grow predictably, and what you do need to do actually to grow predictably. Because here's the thing, like if you're relying on referrals and word of mouth, you have zero control over your growth. And that kind of like needs to change. So let's get into it. So here's what we're going to cover today. First, I'm going to explain why being good at what you do is not enough, and why your mediocre competitors who are simply more known are getting more clients than you. Second, I'm going to break down why trust beats familiarity every single time, and why content is how you build that trust and what type of content to create. And third, I'm going to show you the exact system you need to install with content, ads, reach, conversions, booking, sales, so you can grow predictably instead of just relying on hope and referrals. Because my goal throughout the end of this video is to help you understand why referrals are unpredictable and cold traffic is pretty much math, and what you need to do to make your business predictable. Because predictability is where business actually gets fun. You can hire predictably, you can bring in better talent, you can play around with the math. There's so much you can do. So let's also paint a scenario. You're extremely good at what you do, and being good at what you do brings in more business. But you want to reach newer heights. You want to grow predictably, but you have zero control on if somebody refers you or gives you a good word of mouth. And that brings you a lot of uncertainty on how the next month is going to look like. And running a business with uncertainty isn't fun, as we discussed. And unfortunately, just being good at what you do in today's world isn't the only growing factor you can use. There are a lot of people who are mediocre at what they do, who are also your competitors and have a very stable amount of clients coming in. That's because they're just simply more known. And I've seen this. When it comes to marketing and sales, you have to put in a lot of effort. You need to understand these are separate fields people dedicate their lives to learning and helping other business owners use effectively to grow. So it is a little unfair when you think you can just put a little bit of money into Google Ads or just post some graphics here and there and expect your business to blow up. Because when it comes to marketing, you might not be as smart. You need to do the right things. You need the right help. And this is where most businesses, in my opinion, get it wrong. And in today's trust economy, people don't necessarily purchase from who they like. They purchase from who they trust. So even though you're the better option when it comes to the service-wise, if they don't like you or trust you because you don't have anything of substance that portrays that ability, they're not going to go with you. That's the number one premise of content, which is to build trust. That is why we push video content every single day. Like, hey, post video content, build trust online, have sales assets. Because this is where most people just get it wrong, businesses especially. They think content is just a store-bought item. You post something and trust automatically comes into play. That does not happen, and that's not how it works. You still need to work on the strategy. You still need to make sure that what you're saying is actually impactful. You still need to make sure people care about what you're talking about. If you're just sitting in front of the camera with no strategy, no one will care. With no preparations, no scripts, no bullet points, it's just going to be a mess. And here's the thing. Before you run any ads, before you do any of the paid stuff, you need to create the content first. Content is where credibility comes into play. Especially if you're in the high ticket space, or if you're in a position where people will naturally do their research, you need to give them enough research material so they can come to a good conclusion by themselves to ask them if this is a good fit or not. Because if you don't have anything for them to find, it's just not going to work. Some people still don't understand this concept. They think a cool website with some cool images is pretty much enough. It's 2026 and nobody cares about that stuff. A website is literally step 2 or 3 of the research process. Step 1 is people are in scanner mode. They're scanning over your content. They're making decisions in microseconds. If they don't like what they see, they pretty much move on. So you want to make sure that within those microseconds, you have enough impressive stuff on there. Enough for them to quickly browse through and come to their own conclusions. Whether that's a follow, a like, saving your post, sending it to a friend, or even better, applying for a call and becoming a sale. That's what content does when it is done right. So if you're still running ads and doing like direct to sale ads, it just doesn't necessarily work as well. Because whenever people want to run ads, especially first timers, or maybe perhaps you've hired an agency or a person who have no idea what they're doing, whenever you start selling on Meta and you're selling it without any trust or authority or any content or any following in the first place, you're most likely going to not have a good time. Now, of course, there's a lot of nuances and caveats to this, depending on the offer, how niche the market is. There are definitely cases where you can make direct marketing work. However, you have to understand how human nature works, and then from there, you're just going to take the right course of action. Because if you don't have any trust building assets, meaning content that is either on your Instagram page, Facebook page, YouTube page, wherever, the good leads are always going to run away from you. You're always just going to attract the bad leads. Because depending on the ad and how the whole system is set up, you can literally repel good leads. Like, this is something you can actively do. Doesn't matter how good the website is, doesn't matter how nice your logo looks. If the whole system that you have set up and there's no trust building assets, you don't have any reviews or testimonials showing them into your actual landing page, then you can literally be a repellent for good leads. So all you have pretty much is bad leads or people who don't necessarily even want to do their due diligence before getting on a call. You're just not necessarily going to have a good time. Can you still close deals? Like, yes, you can. Is it going to be extremely scalable? Maybe a little bit, but it's just going to contain a lot of hurdles and people are always going to give you a hard time. So create the content first, of course, grow the reach, give value first to people. And again, value doesn't necessarily mean, and I say this in every video, like create a video like, here are 3 tips to do XYZ. I don't necessarily mean that. Just ask yourself, what can you give that specific person? How can you showcase that you're credible to that specific person? Maybe it's by teaching them something. Maybe it's literally giving them something, which is called a lead magnet. All of this stuff needs to be present for your ideal audience and to make a big impact. So that's very, very important. So before I end this video, let's just do a quick recap and what you actually need to work on. You need to learn how ads work. You need to stop relying on Google ads or just word of mouth or referrals. You need to create good quality content, value-based content to showcase your expertise. You need to do that pretty much day in and day out. We prefer to do it on a day-to-day basis, every single day, because that's what the algorithm likes and prefers. And you need to be comfortable to reinvest more cash into paid advertising because you need to have more reach. And we already remember the formula. More reach is equals to more conversations is equals to more bookings. More bookings is equals to, of course, more sales. And as soon as you figure this part out, as soon as you get more reach, more conversations, more bookings, you can convert them into sales. This is going to run extremely predictably for you. And most people just give up at step 2. Like, as soon as they get more conversations, they're like, okay, yeah, these people aren't qualified. That's it. And that's just because they're used to the word of mouth and referrals that have been coming in and are super easy to close. Cold traffic isn't a straightforward process. There's a reason why all of these sales industry exists, because you have to use proper sales tactics to close these people. If you're super good at what you do, how can you translate that over to the prospect? How can you structure your calls to make sure that they actually close? As soon as you figure all of this out, you can grow your business predictably. Because at the end of the day, if you have more trust than your competitors, you get more business. That's just how it works. Now, if you found this valuable, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. I post videos like this every single week, breaking down the exact system we use to help businesses grow predictably. And if you want help building your system, there's a link in the description. Just book a call and we'll walk through your content strategy and ad set. I'll see you in the next one.